The crash of TWA Flight 6 on March 31st, 1935, was a tragic event that marked one of the significant aviation accidents of the early 20th century. At a time when commercial air travel was still in its infancy, such accidents highlighted the risks and challenges associated with flying. The flight, operated by Transcontinental and Western Air, TWA, involved a Douglas DC-2, an aircraft that was considered advanced for its time. The DC-2 was part of a new generation of airliners that promised greater speed, reliability, and comfort compared to earlier models. However, despite these advancements, aviation technology was still developing, and incidents such as this one served as harsh reminders of the limitations of early commercial aviation. The aircraft took off as scheduled, carrying a small number of passengers and crew. Among them was Knute Rockne, one of the most famous football coaches in American history. Rockne had built an incredible reputation as the head coach of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, leading the team to multiple national championships. His influence on the sport was immense, and his death would send shockwaves throughout the country. At the time, commercial aviation was still a relatively new phenomenon, and having a well-known figure like Rockne aboard the flight added to the national impact of the tragedy. The Douglas DC-2 was a modern aircraft, introduced only a year earlier in 1934. It was a twin-engine monoplane with a metal fuselage, a design that set it apart from many of the earlier wood and fabric aircraft. It could carry around 14 passengers and was praised for its speed and reliability. The DC-2 had helped pave the way for the legendary Douglas DC-3, which would later revolutionize air travel. However, like any new aircraft, it was still undergoing operational refinements, and the full extent of its capabilities and limitations was not yet fully understood. On the day of the accident, the weather conditions were challenging. Pilots in that era did not have the advanced meteorological tools available today, and turbulence was often an unpredictable hazard. Severe turbulence could exert extreme forces on an aircraft's structure, sometimes beyond what it was designed to withstand. In this case, the aircraft encountered violent turbulence, which led to catastrophic structural failure. Reports indicated that the plane broke apart in mid-air before crashing into the ground near Atlanta, Missouri. The sudden and violent nature of the crash left little chance for survival. The aftermath of the crash prompted an extensive investigation. At the time, aviation accident investigations were not as advanced as they are today, but authorities worked to determine the cause of the structural failure. The findings pointed to the aircraft's inability to withstand the extreme turbulence it encountered. This raised concerns about the structural integrity of commercial aircraft, leading to further studies and improvements in aircraft design. The crash was a stark reminder of the need for ongoing advancements in aviation safety. Knute Rockne's death had a profound impact on the nation. He was more than just a football coach. He was a cultural icon, a symbol of leadership and excellence. His coaching philosophy, strategic innovations, and motivational skills had transformed college football. News of his death spread rapidly, and the public reaction was overwhelming. Thousands of people mourned his passing, and his funeral was attended by major figures from sports, politics, and business. His legacy would endure, with tributes pouring in from across the country. The loss of such a prominent figure in an aviation accident also heightened public awareness of air safety, adding pressure on the industry to make improvements. The crash of TWA Flight 6 was not just an isolated incident. It was part of a broader pattern of aviation accidents in the early years of commercial flight. Each accident contributed to the growing body of knowledge that would eventually lead to major safety improvements. In the years that followed, aircraft design evolved, incorporating stronger materials and improved engineering techniques. The development of better weather forecasting, more reliable navigation systems, and stricter safety regulations helped reduce the frequency of such disasters. For TWA, the crash was a significant event. The airline, which would later become one of the most well-known carriers in the world, faced scrutiny and had to reassure the public about the safety of its operations. Despite the tragedy, TWA continued to expand and innovate, playing a major role in the development of modern air travel. The incident underscored the risks of early aviation, but also highlighted the industry's commitment to learning from past mistakes and making flying safer. The impact of the crash extended beyond aviation and sports. It became a part of American history, remembered as a moment when the dangers of early air travel became starkly evident. It also reinforced the idea that progress often comes with setbacks, and that each tragedy can serve as a lesson for future advancements. The aviation industry took note of the structural failure in the DC-2 and used that knowledge to improve aircraft design, leading to stronger, more resilient planes. Over time, as aviation technology improved, accidents like the TWA Flight 6 crash became less common. The introduction of pressurized cabins, radar, and advanced weather prediction tools significantly increased flight safety. The lessons learned from early accidents contributed to the establishment of institutions like the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, and the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, which now oversee aviation safety and ensure rigorous standards for aircraft and airline operations. The crash site in Missouri remains a historical point of interest for aviation enthusiasts and historians. Though many decades have passed, the memory of the tragedy still lingers, particularly for those who study the early years of aviation. The story of the crash, the people involved, and the lessons learned continue to be relevant in discussions about aviation history. Knute Rockne's legacy lived on, not just in football, but in the broader context of American culture. His name is still revered in sports circles, and his contributions to coaching and team dynamics remain influential. His tragic death added to the mythology surrounding his life, cementing his place in history as one of the greatest figures in college football. Many believe that had he lived longer, he would have continued to shape the sport in even greater ways. His influence extended beyond the field, inspiring generations of coaches, players, and fans. The TWA Flight 6 crash remains an important chapter in aviation history. It was a moment of loss, but also a moment that propelled the industry forward. Each aviation accident, while tragic, has contributed to the safety improvements that make modern air travel one of the safest modes of transportation today. The sacrifices of those who lost their lives in early aviation incidents were not in vain. Their stories helped shape the future of flight. The legacy of that fateful day in 1935 is not just one of tragedy, but of progress, innovation, and a continued commitment to making the skies safer. The story doesn't end here. Stay tuned for more. History is full of secrets. What will we uncover next? Not everything is as it seems. See you in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe my channel for more.